Hello, salutations. What it do? It's Dr. Gamer back at you with another Marvel's Avengers video. Hope you had a wonderful week. It is once again time for the Marvel's Avengers recap, where I go over everything that happened this past week in the Marvel's Avengers community. And surprise, surprise, another slow week. Not a lot happened. The dev stream this week was another short one, only about 30 minutes. Very little information was given, but we do have some tidbits going into next week that I want to go over. But before we get into it, make sure you smash that like button. It helps tremendously with the YouTube overlords. And make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. We are on to our next sub goal, trying to hit 3,000 subs by Wakanda next month. I hope you guys can help me get there. We've been hitting all of our sub goals, and I will be doing a giveaway when War for Wakanda drops if I hit that sub goal. So hit that subscribe button and support your boy. But without further ado, let's jump right into this video. So I'm just going to recap what went on in the dev stream. It was a very short one, but there definitely was some nuggets to get from it. So there's going to be a small patch dropping on Tuesday, and the patch is meant to address a fix for the Vault onboarding missions, which were causing some people problems. They're going to, funny enough, change Captain America's MCU shield. There was actually some people who pointed out that they didn't think the shield was quite right. The positioning made it so that the star was kind of sideways. So they're going to do a small patch to update the shield, to reposition it so the star is completely upright, giving the people what they want, hitting the biggest issues with the game. They're also going to remove the defense buff that is showing up in between missions. If you haven't noticed, that invulnerability thing pops up while you're going through the war table, and slightly annoying, but that's something they're going to fix as well. They're, of course, going to be addressing Monica in the Scientist Supreme boss fight. You will no longer be able to one-shot her by summoning Hank Pym and shrinking her and making her fall down the hole. Very funny, but they are finally getting rid of it because obviously they did not intend for you to beat Monica in only 20 seconds by making her fall through the hole. They're also testing a fix for the last Avengers standing 14th floor hive. People have, of course, been complaining about this for weeks because it has not been working. It stops spawning enemies at about the 11th floor, and people haven't been able to complete it. But beyond that, even when we could complete it, they completely nerfed the exotic drop rate again. So it honestly wasn't even worth doing to begin with, but they said that they are going to be implementing a fix for it. They figure out what was wrong, and it will not be a part of the Tuesday patch, but they said it's something that they can do on the back end, so they don't have to do a normal patch. They can just fix it, and they'll let us know when it is fixed. Hopefully that fix includes a buff to the drop rate for exotics, because right now it's pretty garbage. Also, they finally addressed the Hawk issue. Last week, people brought up the fact that after the patch, Hawk was stealth nerfed. And when it was brought up on the stream, Phil acted like he had no idea what we were talking about. And this week, after apparently consulting with the combat team, they have an update. According to them, Hawk had a skill that was bugged and giving him a 50% damage increase with Thunderclap instead of a 25% damage increase. So that's why Hawk is weaker. And they added this to the patch notes after the fact. And they framed this as, no, they weren't trying to hide it from us. But let me address the cap right now. This is pure 100% cap. They are lying. They did, in fact, try to hide all this from us. So they did multiple nerfs to Hawk. So in the patch notes, they did not put any of this. I read them on stream. None of this was in the patch notes. So they were in fact trying to hide this from us. Otherwise, they would have been in the patch notes and they would have gave us a heads up. So don't try that BS here. There was an exploit with Hawk where if you had, I believe, Gamma on his range, I think it was small gamma debris perk, and you had something like Plasma on your melee gear, if you did the ground pound, you could get the battery effect. In the Cosmic Q patch, they got rid of that, didn't tell us about it. They also nerfed his Thunderclap because, as you know, people were making entire builds around giving Hawk as much valor as possible, because when you up his valor and have some other perks on it, the Thunderclap can basically clear entire rooms. It's a lot of fun, and they nerfed it. Now, Andy said that the only thing they addressed was the perk that gives the 25% increase to damage. This is a lie. This is Do not let them get away with this. This is a lie. They did not just nerf Fault Line. Fault Line is the perk they're talking about. Fault Line, for those that aren't familiar with Hawk, one of the skill nodes on his Thunderclap tree, which you can select, and it narrows the shockwave from the Fault Line. And in exchange for losing some of your range, because it's narrowing the shockwave and not hitting as much, you get a plus 25% increase in damage. So this is pretty much used when you're fighting a boss. You will just switch over to Fault Line so that you can just focus all your damage there, because when you're fighting a boss, you're not worried about the rest of the room. You're just trying to hit them directly. Now, they did not just do that. They did not just tune that down to 25%. Hawk's overall Thunderclap was massively nerfed. Now, I'm showing footage of his Thunderclap. I didn't use Fault Line. I only used Fault Line when I was just trying to do the one shot on a boss. But for everything else, I used Epicenter, which increases the radius of the Thunderclap so you can hit more targets. I think it's about a 50% increase in the radius. And before the stealth nerf, you could clear whole rooms with Hawk, no problem. After the stealth nerf, it's completely different. First of all, your overall damage is massively cut, and he can no longer one-shot the overshielded enemies consistently. You basically need to have your Valor to the max, and you have to have multiple damage buffs. You gotta make sure that you have as much damage as possible just to have a chance at getting rid of just regular overshielded enemies, like during Tachyon Rifts or during Elite Hives or whatever. You have to be able to do that. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to one-shot them, even when they're out of their shield. So they are lying. They did an overall nerf to Hawk's Thunderclap. There's even a video on Twitter where someone did 1 million damage to Maestro with a Thunderclap from Hawk, and it barely did anything to his health. So they definitely completely nerfed Hawk. It is way more than just taking down the alleged 50% buff on Fault Line to 25%. No, the overall Thunderclap, no matter what node you're using, is significantly weaker than it was before the patch. You guys can check out my build video for Hawk. I did a Valor build video on my channel showing you how you could just one-shot pretty much everything with the Thunderclap. That was pre-patch. And after the patch, I was literally in Tachyon Rifts and like, why am I no longer able to take out these enemies? They're just tanking the Thunderclap now when they weren't before. I thought it might have been just a multiplayer thing, because sometimes in multiplayer they massively scale down your damage, but no, it was the stealth nerf. Don't let them lie to you. They intentionally nerfed Hawk. Andy even said on the stream they thought Hawk was too powerful, which is stupid. This is not a PvP game. This is a PvE game. Our characters are supposed to be powerful. If you take the time to gear up your character and make sure that they're as powerful as possible, they should stay that way. It is not the job of the developers to nerf the players every time they come up with a good build. It is their job to make challenging content so that they have an incentive to keep playing, keep tinkering with builds. But if all you're going to do is just keep nerfing the players and pretend like you're making the content difficult, people are just going to leave because it's not fun anymore. And there's no point in putting in time to perfect the build if you're just going to stealth nerf it out of the blue because you feel like, oh, it's too powerful now, so let's just get rid of it. It's stupid. Stop doing this. If you're going to nerf a character, which you should not, because again, this is a PvE game, but if you are going to do it, have the courage to at least tell us what you're planning to do beforehand. Don't sneak it into a patch and then pretend you don't know what we're talking about and then add something to the patch notes later and try to spin it. Don't do that. We're not stupid. We know what you're doing. There are plenty of people who play this game and they pay close attention. You are not going to sneak this by us. I don't know why devs think they could get away with this. You are not smarter than the players. You're not going to sneak stuff by us. We know what you're doing. Stop it. Hawk did not need a nerf. You need to make the enemies stronger. People have been asking for smarter, stronger enemies, challenging content, and overall better things to do. We want to be able to modify our gear so we can have even more customizations and even more potential for strong builds, but they're basically taking away everything. They're nerfing Hawk. They took away the elite villain sector, so you can't farm for DNA keys. Basically, they nuked all the drop rates for exotics, so you basically can't get it unless they have an event like the Cosmic Cube, or if you're doing the weekly Mega Hive. That's basically it right now. You can't, and even when you get exotics, a lot of them are trash, and because there's no way to mod the gear, you're basically left trying to do stuff like the backup save glitch. So they really need to get their stuff together, because this is not acceptable, and they're running out of time, because Wakanda is dropping next month unless there are any delays, but so far they've indicated everything is on time, and it's make or break for them. They really need to step it up and make sure that the game is in a proper state when Wakanda drops, so that when all the new players come, they're going to want to stay. And the players that have been sticking out are going to want to continue. They really need to get on this and stop doing this stupid stuff that pisses people off, because it's not happening. The rest of the dev stream now, again, not a lot of information, but there was a few good tidbits. So they said that in the Wakanda update, you're going to get up to 8 takedowns you'll be able to equip. So whoopee, still have to pay for those, so not great. But they are bringing back the Red Room event for those that missed out on it, because surprise, surprise, it was bugged. You will have the chance to play it, and it will last until the 22nd. Now for me, the Red Room takeover was bugged in a different way. I was able to finish it, but it also never left my war table, so I've been able to play it this whole time. Not that I have, because it's boring. You will be able to get your shot at those rewards and play through it if you missed it, as well as get that team animated nameplate, and they are introducing a new one. Also, they could be releasing an MCU skin. So next week is the premiere of the Black Widow movie. That's part of the reason why they chose this time to re-add the Red Room takeover. But also, Andy did this thing he does when you asked about an MCU skin and he says, check the socials. When he says, check the socials, that usually means something is dropping, and check out for Twitter. So based on that, and the fact that we know there is an MCU skin coming this month other than Thor. Thor is not going to be the next MCU skin. There is one coming before him. So it's reasonable to assume that we could very well be getting an MCU skin next week. And the most likely candidate is Black Widow, because again, Red Room takeover, Black Widow movie. So it will make sense for them to do another Black Widow MCU skin to celebrate the movie. And I'm personally hoping it's the white snowsuit that she showed off, because I think that's pretty much the best Black Widow outfit in the entire MCU. So Fortnite already has it. I hope that they add it, because that would be a pretty fire skin, and they wouldn't have to do as much work with the hair if that's another problem for them, because the black one from the new movie, they would have to do the ponytail, and if they didn't, it would be another thing. So hopefully they figure that out. They also showcased the next outfit set, which they're calling the volcanic set. And essentially there are lazy recolors where they just put moving magma over parts of the outfits. They showed off Gladiator Hawk and Thor's recolors, and once again, lazy, uninspired, garbage. I really wish they would just stop releasing these sets. I really wish people would stop buying these garbage sets and just focus on better comic accurate skins, more MCU skins, stuff that people actually are interested in and want. Because when you're comparing it to something like Future Revolution, which is buzzing right now, even though their monetization system is trash, it's undeniable that their cosmetic system, besides that, is light years ahead of Avengers. You can earn free cosmetics by playing, which you used to be able to do with Marvel's Avengers, but they took that away with the cosmetic vendor. Alleged update, which at this point, 4 months later with no updates, pretty sure they just took it away on purpose to force us to the marketplace. But in Future Evolution, you can also customize all your stuff. You can mix and match, and you still can't do that here. I mean, this game still doesn't even have an emote wheel. They really need to just stop putting out this garbage and really get it together, because if you're determined to do free DLCs and the marketplace is the only place you're going to really be able to generate most of the revenue, then you gotta step it up and actually make it more appealing, because right now it's not acceptable. It's not in a great state. They've improved with, some of the skins they've offered. They've mainly with Captain America, they've had some good MCU skins. They had the Ultimate Cap skin that just came out, good, though they once again did not go the extra mile and improve the shield, but overall the skin was still good. But the quality of skins, if you just go through the marketplace, is very low. It's a lot of recolors and a lot of really ugly original designs, and I just really wish they did a lot better. They also said that once again, the Super Adaptoid boss fight was going to be hard and complicated and blah, 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 and I'll have to see it to believe it. But that's supposed to come out later this month, and we'll see. I'll be, of course, streaming it, so we'll have to see just how good it is. That's it for the stream. Like I said, there wasn't a whole lot of information there. They obviously don't have much to say. They do have stuff later this month. You have the deep dive for Black Panther that's still coming, and of course you have the Omega level threat and the multiplayer Mega Hive update. So I'm expecting more informative dev streams in the next 3 weeks. That's all. Thanks for tuning in. Hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm Sadat the Gamer, signing off.